Bases dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on SDH. John here, you there. John's voice is someplace else. And this is what happens when you're out in public and you do a lot of talking. So this is where we are this morning. And thanks to Nick and his brother for actually having the hardware. See, you can actually tap on this thing and you can actually hear how thick the mug is. This, it's one of these kind of mornings. So that's it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to let a lot of folks do talking this morning other than me. Morning, Alex. And Alex, by the way, congratulations on getting some of the best hair on the planet to help out with your national team. Sebastian Becasese goes from our friends at Defensa Justicia and other places. The best one, some of the best flow and coaching. Next gig. Congratulations. So very, very cool stuff there. All right. So busy morning on a couple of different fronts. So we got guests. We got folks. And this morning, hour number 2 is hour number 2. Nino and Niko show. I sit back and let them roll. With Nino Torres at 10 o'clock, we'll find out about Sudamericana. We'll find out about everything going on, Libertadores, Sudamericana, all that. And whatever else Nino wants to talk about. At 10:30, last half hour of the show, it's our buddy Nico Moreno. And maybe Nino will sit and want to play crossover and all that stuff. So we'll see what kind of conversations Nino and Nico have. And we will do that in hour number 2. Bottom of the hour in hour number 1. It's our friends from FC Naples. And now with Matt Poland being named head coach and technical director, we'll catch up with them and we'll see what attracted him to the gig, what it's going to be like building something from scratch in USL League One, what it's been like so far building something from scratch for USL League One. We've seen the tours of all the facilities that they're going to be having down in Collier County. So very, very cool stuff there. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. We talk about our friends at FC Naples. We're going to spend most of the first half hour talking about whatever's on everybody's mind, but I do want to discuss, as Jarrett joins us here, I do want to discuss the late night revelations that came out because when the Court of Arbitration for Sport basically said, Jarrett, that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and lay this out. We're going to say no, but then we'll come out with our details at a later time about Canada soccer. When that happened last night, you sit there and you go, now we know what went down. And the short version, thanks to those that are up late night, and it is a long document too. It's like 70 pages. FIFA has released the background decision of Canada's penalty. And so, Jarrett, we initially thought that there were, 2 instances of drone usage at the Olympics. And we find out now there are 3. We also have found out, according to the FIFA document that was released, that Bev Priestman had asked a staff member to spy, but they had refused. And then there's the series of emails that we discussed about the back and forth with Canada, the Canada women's team, and going to HR representatives, that kind of stuff. The chairperson for CAS and the committee was convinced that this 6-point penalty would prevent further spying attempts. This is me holding my breath on that. But that's where we are when that came out late last night from our friends at FIFA, as they sent a rather large, it's a 26-page document. So I guess I was looking at it in 1/3 the space at 300%. So 26-page document. And so we now know the why. And I guess we should bring out our buddy Paul Harvey here to explain, or at least to put something of a period, not quite an exclamation point to all of this stuff. But, we now know.
Now you know the rest of the story.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Jared?
I think that FIFA is kind of like that parent that is, or in this case, CAS is kind of like that parent of, don't ask why, You don't want 70 pages of why.
We'll give you
This
20.
is well. To cross the streams here a bit. This is a similar situation to kind of like the whole Jill Ellis suing her former employee thing.
Yeah, we got into that yesterday too. Yeah.
Well, the reason I say that, and what I mean by that, is both of them are going to get into some discovery phases that might not everybody might not want to get into.
No.
Like with the Canada thing, now you get the 70-page like layout of everything. And you get more detail on what exactly happened. And I think that's why so many people in Canada were being very careful with their words. John Herdman, 1A. Because John Herdman had, said, I don't believe we did anything during World Cup or
during World, yeah,
during World Cup or I forget what his other one. Oh, Olympics.
Yeah.
Never said anything about qualifying. Never said anything about CONCACAF stuff.
It was well parsed.
But it's a bold statement, knowing that Jeff Priestman just got popped for drone usage 3 times in this games alone.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, he's the one that installed the program in the first place. She just kind of was like, that's clever. Let's keep doing that. It does make me feel better that that somebody said no, because then it doesn't make me feel like it was necessarily as toxic where people felt like they absolutely couldn't say no. Maybe some people did, maybe some people didn't. But yeah, again, you start getting into discovery phases. You start getting into the detailed whys or why nots, and you get stuff like this, and then it can get messy. In the same way that, like, I still am fascinated that Jill Ellis is suing the former employee out there on the West Coast, because like that the employee dropped the whole tweet thread.
Yeah, we went through that as well. Yeah,
but that sleeping dog had done live, John.
Yes.
Like, that's 3 weeks ago, man. That's an eternity ago in this news cycle, a 24-second news cycle where our brains are constantly overloaded with everything that's constantly happening, and sometimes we choose that directly, the way we interact with things on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sleeping dog had done live.
Yes.
Like, it was done.
Yes.
She's dredging it back up. You better have a damn good reason. You better have like hard evidence that employee lied and manipulated every single detail to drag.
You want your discovery phase, young lady?
That's the thing, is like, you're going to get a discovery phase out of this. If this is your attempt to like intimidate and strong arm them into rolling everything back, it's probably not going to work, and probably not worth the time, because everyone had moved on. In the general consensus, yes, there's going to be U.S. women's soccer people who haven't moved on, and rightfully so. But most people have moved on because their brains are already overloaded with everything else that is happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I am just kind of surprised that she chose to do that. But yes. Canada gets their answer here, but it's kind of like, you'll get an answer. I don't like it, but you'll get it.
Yep. Rick Westhead, in his analysis and adding of input, the analyst wrote in the FIFA document as it was released. As discussed yesterday in terms of the spying conversation, I came off the meeting with the clarity you understood my reasons for me being unwilling to do this moving forward. Morally, my own reputation within the analysis field, potentially being unable to fulfill my role on a match day moving forward. I'll have a discussion with Joey Lombardi, who was the analyst that got popped in this investigation, and reach out to the wider tech team with regards to how we could potentially look for other solutions. But just wanted to confirm you will not be asking me to fulfill the role of spying in the upcoming and future camps. And then that was when Priestman...
It's very funny how openly they talk about all of it, too.
Yeah. And then that's when Bev Priestman sends the email to the external human resources consultant seeking your advice and input here regarding this formal email on spying. It's something the analyst has always done. And I know there is a whole operation on the men's side with regards to it. Wrote a different Canada Soccer employee had recently worked with her staff, and he was outstanding in this area. Asked the analyst to propose an alternative solution. As for scouting, it can be the difference between winning and losing, and all top 10 teams do it. And then Canada Soccer provided the analysts and Priestman's emails to FIFA. Federation wrote in the document it believes the spying program began with John Herdman, who coached the women's team from 2011 to 18, men's team from 18 to 23, now coaches at Toronto FC. So Canada Soccer wrote to FIFA July 27. We suspect that the practice of using a drone stems back to John Herdman when he was the head coach of the women's national team, according to the FIFA document. In other words, this was a practice started by one person, John Herdman, and continued by Bev Priestman. It was not facilitated by the Federation. New Canada Soccer administration is supporting a full independent investigation of this issue and has already taken steps to ensure that this scouting tactic does not happen again. COC wrote in a statement it wasn't fair to the women's team players. They won yesterday. They advanced out of the group despite all of this stuff going on around them. And I hate to break it to the COC in all of this. But the issue here, look, it's not fair to the players. Yeah. But you don't know the knock-on effects from the successes that are tied to spying, and you can't just make a singular exception and go, well, it's not fair to the players. I mean, think about everything else that has been done in the past where we have had a governing body sit there and wag their finger and give a suspension or a wiping out or what have you of wins or losses or matches or games played or what have you. Yes, you're punishing the players because it's a part of that entire system. You can't just sit there and selectively say, well, no, it's not fair to these players. We can't enforce it against this current group of players. You have no choice in this matter. You have no choice. In for a penny, in for a pound. You have to enforce it against the whole thing across the board. That is simply, you have no choice in the matter. You can't have selective enforcement of something. And that's why you end up with a 6-point penalty. And at the very least, I would have understood if it was a 3-point penalty, considering that the evidence was against the studying against the New Zealand match. But you decided a 6-point penalty, and you got out of group. Now the rest is up to you. And the rest is up to Canada Soccer to determine where they want to go from here. And Bev Priestman, she's not going to be coaching for a year. Coach Mander not coaching for a year. Lombardi not doing anything for a year. The next domino in all of this, Jared, is John Herdman, who all of a sudden...
In theory, yes, but you're also... That's Toronto's decision.
Yeah.
Toronto is going to make their decision.
Who also finally decided yesterday not to say something. He was asked about the decision yesterday and basically did the press conference equivalent of lawyering up.
Yeah, honestly, it's what he should have done in the first place.
Yes.
If he didn't say anything in the first place, his lawyer should have been beating their head against the wall.
Mm-hmm. It's like, why, sir, did you open your mouth? Why, sir, did you?
It's like yesterday he did. He's not going to comment on it. Yeah, a little late for that, bud. You already gave this incredibly qualified statement last time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're a little late there, dude. From the beginning, it should have been what you said yesterday. But then with your tap danceable quotes that you had in this, that was oh boy, it should have been something that you said from the absolute beginning, but you didn't. So instead, from the absolute beginning, Herdman, in my time as head coach at Olympic Games or World Cups, we've never been involved in any of those activities. That was
Rich, I see that. We will get to that in just a minute.
Yes.
I have thoughts.
Yes.
They're not bad ones about your boy. Or your team. I just have
yes. So at the the MD -1 getting ready for Red Bull. John Herdman says, in my time as head coach at Olympic Games or World Cups, we've never been involved in any of those activities. That was back on the 26th. And then that was when folks got hot and reached out to Rick Westhead. Source told Westhead 17 players were in a room. They attended a briefing, watched as Herdman played video of the Honduran team closed practice. You would draw that match on September 2. Herdman explained to the Honduran team favored a 4-4-2 with either a medium or a high press, and that simplicity was the key to Canada being successful in the important game, according to the source talking to Westhead. Herdman emphasized turning the Honduran team around in the first 15 minutes. Herdman said, according to the source, TSN has corroborated the source's account of the meeting. So John Herdman said that on July 26th. Yesterday, he finally decides to lawyer up. So between July 26th and yesterday, the 31st, John Herdman finally got smart in a legal sense. The next domino will be John Herdman and what, if anything, happens to John Herdman. Does Toronto FC look at this evidence that is being presented here? Do they look at the FIFA report and go, do we want this kind of individual as a part of our program? Or do they parse it and go, well, that happened when he was with the national team. He's now part of Toronto FC. We have not seen that kind of behavior in this individual since he's been a part of our program, and we're going to monitor things closely. I'm trying to figure out what the soundbite would be from the front office, or the statement from the front office.
I'm sure they'll do their own internal investigation too.
So
there's always that.
Yes. So they've got their own tires to kick. So that's where we are. I know that Rich, doing a public service this morning from the Daily Record, Daniel Gazdag named on a 3-man Celtic transfer watch list as Star Rogers raves about Star to sign long-term deal. Okay, so that's too many stars.
It's Rogers raves about.
Okay, because there's
their headlines are never fun.
Yeah, the Daily Record is missing punctuation in a headline. So engage on Daniel Gazdag, sir.
It feels like the kind of player who would have fit great with Ange, not as much with Brendan Rodgers. So I'm just curious about it. I think Gazdag would be great in Scotland. It just feels like he would fit better with Ange's team. It just feels like a weird search, but hey, man, I'm sure they wouldn't say no to more money.
Yeah.
Silly, I mean.
Yes. No. Yeah. And then they'll, Rich. So if Philly was to get more money, if they got money for Gazdag, morning on, what would they spend it on? Let us know. What would they spend it on if they got money for Daniel Gazdag? What would they spend it on? Our friends from FC Naples coming in about 5 minutes to talk about their new life in USL League One with Matt Poland now in charge as both technical director and head coach. We'll find out what's going on with FC Naples. But yeah, the biggest thing yesterday was the tail end of the group stage and Marta going out on a red card. Marta goes out on a red card for a high boot, and we now know the layout for the elimination stage when it comes to soccer and the Olympics. Bart's going to join us, by the way. Bart's going to join us tomorrow morning batting leadoff on a Friday. And I think that he will be, he'll be watching men's quarters and yelling at the same time that we'll be discussing what's going on in the men's quarters. Women's quarters, U.S.-Japan, 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Spain and Colombia is at 11. Canada, Germany is at 1. France and Brazil is at 3. So, Marta with her red card, she could have possibly played her last match if Brazil doesn't get through France on Saturday afternoon. That's your quarterfinals on the women's side. When you look at the men's side, and you're looking at your brackets there as we scan through. So tomorrow morning, while Bart is batting leadoff, the U23s on the men's side, they are going to make sure that they're going to be batting bright and early, absolutely bright and early. So it's going to be fun. So Morocco in the U.S. at 9:00 on Friday morning. Bart's going to be in an environment where it's going to be loud. There might be cussing, but there will be cheering. So Bart's going to be joining us.
That's never stopped that.
Yeah, to bat leadoff. So Rich says continuing renovation of VIP areas. It won't go anywhere near a roster build. And that's why I was asking, because I wanted
that's kind of what we assumed.
Yeah, it's like, what part of infrastructure will it go toward, as opposed to actually the investment in inside players and getting other players. So that was why I wanted to ask about what the future could be. So tomorrow, Morocco in the U.S. at 9. Morocco is a plus 120, by the way. Japan and Spain at 11. Spain's a plus 110 in the juice boxes. Egypt and Paraguay is at 1. Paraguay is a plus 155. France and Argentina, where we get our Thiago Almada sighting, that is at 3:00. France is a minus 110. So that's your Friday morning, and Bart will be yelling at us watching Morocco in the U.S. while looking at everything else. And we'll talk women's, we'll talk men's, we'll talk Vegas, we'll talk everything with Bart and all of that there. Abby, morning, everyone. Happy first day of school to whom it pertains. Actually, here in Office HD, that happened earlier this week. We had buses on runs and everything. So it was it's been a long week. We know when you're driving, when the buses are coming through the subdivision like clockwork, like right at 7 a.m. That's when the bus hits. That's when you know you're back in school. So that's the fun part there. So, but yeah, so that's going to be the adventure that is attached to everything there. But yeah, Rich, I felt like, like regular people, school starts in September in the Northeast. See, I mean, for us of a certain vintage, it used to be a deal where you'd go to school the week before Labor Day. Get that full weekend. Then what you would do is you get Labor Day off. Then you go back for the rest of the week. Yeah, well, we got it like second week of June. And so that's the way it would be. We just start the week before Labor Day. You go that full week. You get Labor Day off. Then you go for the rest of the time, and then you're out like second week of June. Now, apparently, everyone's in school for every blanking day. And there's like, and this is probably good for some parents where, you don't have to spend money for summer camp anymore. It's like, okay, what do we do for 6 or 8 weeks that there is no school? Yeah, we'll go on vacation, then we'll come back and we'll do this, we'll do that, and everything will be fine. So that's what you're staring at least now with these days. But yeah, Rich is like regular folks, like it was when we were growing up. Yeah. Abby said they have stupid weeks off here in addition to starting early, but out before Memorial Day weekend. See, that's weird. Memorial Day was kind of like field day, your AP exams are done if you're in high school and you're trying to get everything all squared away. And it's just like, but yeah, it's all weird now. It's just all weird. Here you're almost in school all blanking season long. And then all of a sudden, then you wonder what you're going to do in that 6 to 8 week period when there is no school, and then you turn around and there's school again. But yeah, man, we used to have Alex is like, it took 30 minutes to drive the single straight line mile from your house to the high school. Wow. See now, Alex, do you have stoplights and stop signs and things, or is it just something where you're like, it's just this one strip and you're just stuck in traffic? That's what I mean, because if you've got the stoplight here, stoplight here, then I could understand why it could take 30 minutes. But if it's just like one continuous line without stoplights, that's another thing. Abby says, hard for the children to sleep because they went to sleep away camp up north and could only go to summer A session. Okay. See, for me, that was, literally you get to sleep late, you get to mess around, you get to do all those kinds of things. And it was, It was all interesting and all good. Rich was in school all year, in college working the swim team. When he was in college working for the swim team, he was in school all year. And that's how you got things done. Okay. Have a light in the week. Same drive will take 5 minutes. And Rich was off only for like 2 weeks in July. All right. Bottom of the hour. And now the fun part. We get to find out what it's like to see how something gets built from the ground up. And for this, we get to go to Naples. And we get to find out what life is like for the new head coach, technical director, grand exalted on-field poobah for FC Naples and USL League One. Matt Poland hanging out with us. Matt, welcome to the morning show.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. First off, congratulations. Let me get Bob Moreno in here and Matt. And I didn't know if it was going to be a party line, but I love the fact that you both are in here this morning so we can get both ideas. So, Matt, welcome. Bob, welcome. Welcome to the morning show, guys.
Thank you, John. Great to see you. Great to have you.
And it's been a while that we've been chasing this down, but we've been seeing what's been going on there at FC Naples and getting ready for USL League One. So, Matt, let me ask you this to start things off. What was it like when Bob came knocking on your door? Hey, we want you to be a part of this, and we want you to help build this from scratch. What were those first conversations like where he's like, Matt, what were those conversations like, and what tempted you to sign up for the gig?
Yeah, so I'm kind of been living here for the last 13 years. My wife and I live just 25 minutes south of the stadium, and since the stadium was created, the conversation we always had was how perfect for a professional team. We need a professional team. We need a professional team. So when FC Naples was announced, I got in contact with Bob and we started having conversations. And as I say, the conversations got longer and the time between them got shorter. And it was a very organic process. Very conversationalist in different things and sharing ideas and philosophies. And when the job offer finally came, I was just ecstatic. I mean, what a privilege and a dream to get to be the first head coach in essentially my backyard and play a big role in creating a culture of the first professional team in this area.
So then let me ask you, Bob, what was it that attracted you to Matt? When you sit there and you look at the checklist of the Matt Poland checklist, it's like, okay, this, and this. What attracted you to Matt and to have you think, and the rest of the hierarchy think that, yes, Matt is our guy to help us in this stage?
Yeah, great question, John. So we received a lot of inbound interest from all over the world.
I'm not surprised.
For this position. Who doesn't want to live in Naples, right? We just got voted the #1 place to live in America, as you probably saw, which is amazing. So we instead of basically like rattling through all the resumes and everything else, we actually made a list of what's important to us, what's important to the club, what's important to this community. And when we did that, some of the top things were somebody who's very hardworking, somebody who's ready to get down and not only work on the sporting side, but also help on the business side. Somebody who understands the power of community. Somebody understands that this club is not our club, it's the community's team, right? That's very important. We've done that since day one, and that's something we're going to continue doing, right? Because more than a soccer team or a professional soccer team, this is something for the whole community to rally around, get together on Saturday nights and have something in common that they can all support. So when we made that list and we looked at the different candidates, Matt just kept standing out, right? I met Matt very early on in the process, actually back in January. And in all the conversations we had, it just kept reaffirming the fact that Matt was the right guy. And then obviously on top of it being living here in Marco Island for over 15 years, I mean, that's like the cherry on top.
So, Matt, let me ask you this. It's a two-part question. what do you think is going to be the easiest part of your job? And what do you think some of the bigger challenges are when it comes to this startup and USL League One and all? What's the easy part and what's the hard part? I'm going to try to get you to the middle by the time we're done, but what are the two extremes here with you in this new job?
Yeah, so I think the easiest part is, hey, do you want to do preseason and play in Florida versus somewhere up north? I think that's the easiest sell is the location, and combined with that is our facilities and our stadium. Again, they were just created a couple years ago, and as you know, in lower league sports, the biggest hurdle is a stadium, and so to have such a professional stadium is obviously just a massive recruiting tool as well. In terms of the biggest challenge, the reality is every player that comes in does not know the identity of the club. Meaning, even if they're come from the most professional club in the world, they have the identity of that club. And so the biggest challenge is bringing 23 players in and having them all recognize what the crest means, what the identity means, education about the community as a whole, what we represent to the community, what our role is in the community as engagement partners and mentoring and all of that. And so everyone can come in from, with perfect intentions, but they each have their view from the previous locker room, right? There's no core that's here. We're building that core and that foundation. So that'll be probably the biggest challenge on the soccer side of it.
All right. So then, Bob, what about on the business side of things? What do you think the easiest thing is coming into this process, and what's the easiest thing been so far? And what do you think some of the larger obstacles are going to be or have been as you guys get ready for your first season on the field?
Business and easy are usually not two words that go hand in hand.
True.
As you know. I think, if I had to pick something out, I think it's just the passion of the team and the willingness to do whatever it takes to succeed, right? Because when you're doing something that you love and something that's affecting many people's lives in a positive way, it's easy to get up every morning and go to work, right? So that's the easy part. And then from a challenge perspective, everything is challenging, right? So I would say it's the amount of moving parts. Right, you've got the ticket sales, you've got the sponsors, you've got the food and beverage, you have the stadium experience, you've got the relationships with the community, the relationships in the government, the relationships with the police department, right? To go on and on and on, the local academies. So it's just managing all those different sort of balls in the air, prioritizing and tackling them one by one.
And make sure that they're not chainsaws that you have to juggle on a daily basis.
Yes, correct.
As long as it's just balls that you're juggling in the air. Matt, I know that you're looking for a specific kind of individual to represent FC Naples, what it stands for, what the crest means, what it means in the community, all these kinds of things. So let me ask it this way. I assume you have either unlimited international minutes on your phone or you've got one heck of a WhatsApp group that's going on when it comes to bringing in players to recruit. But what kind of individual are you specifically looking for to represent FC Naples the right way on and off the field? What should an expectation be for a player / their representative or representatives when they dial you up and go, yeah, we'd like to be a part of this? What kind of expectations do you have when it comes to those individuals that you're like, yep, okay, you need to be a part of this. You need to be a part of this build. I want you to be a part of this on the field and off.
Yeah, I will say the phone has been buzzing a lot as a truthful statement. So looking at player profiles in different areas in that regard, there's a few things that stand out that we've decided to prioritize. The first is, obviously you have to be a good player and all of that. Sure, you have to be able to handle the standard. But we want good people. We truly want this to be a team that impacts the community in a positive way. If we win games and no one comes to the stadium and young players don't have mentors to look up to, and in my opinion, there's a lot of failure by us. So we really want to find people that are good role models for the community. Again, this is the first professional team in our area, and so we have certain expectations we have of how these players need to interact with the community. The other thing is we don't want people to see this as just a final destination. We want young players that are hungry, that want to learn, that want to grow, and want to continue the pathway of professional soccer to dream even bigger than just FC Naples. And so in regards to that, we're looking for local talent. I mean, what better thing than to be able to sign players from your own backyard? So we definitely want to give every local player an opportunity to showcase for us. But I've coached over in Europe. The ownership group has a lot of connections in South America. So as you said, we're looking international. We're looking at college ranks. We're looking at, anywhere soccer's played, we're looking at players from those areas. In terms of style, we want to be exciting, right? We're at the end of the day, we're in the entertainment business. And so we want to play on the front foot. We want the game to open up at times, have some great counterattacking, drama-filled moments. And we want to always make sure that we're taking the game to the opponent and not just, parking the bus and trying to win 1-0 for every match.
So, Bob, why USL League One? What set them apart? Because in today's alphabet soup of leagues and financial investments and all of the stuff that we're saturated with, it could have been any league in any division and a part of the pyramid. What set USL League One apart for you and for everyone that is investing in this idea that is FC Naples?
We love the fact that League One is focused on the smaller markets, right? Those markets that don't have maybe professional teams or maybe don't have a lot of professional teams. So that was really good for us. We love the USL pathway, right? The fact that there's so many members of academies around the country as part of the USL, and part of what we're doing is obviously supporting the youth. We also really like the way that the USL sort of is organized and the way that the player transfers work and the potential of developing players, and like Matt said, and moving them on to bigger and better things.
I mean, Matt, all you have to do really is look at the recent example of a player like Nick Okoto up at South Georgia Tormenta.
Exactly.
Who has moved on to Burton Albion. And so now you have folks in Statesboro, Georgia, who are now following the Brewers in the English pyramid. When you look at all of the material here for USL League One, for those that don't know the footprint, for those that don't know what soccer means there in that part of the world, how would you break down how it's a part of the fabric of everything that goes on there in Naples and surrounding areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you're bringing soccer into a new community, professional soccer into a new community, there's just a lot of education in a lot of different ways, right? From the creation of a supporters group, and maybe some people are new to what does that mean to be in a supporters group, to what it looks like coming to a game day experience, to what the professional team can offer to the local academies and all different areas. It's a lot of education. And I think the most enjoyable part of the process is building it in the way that we would like to see it best help the community, right? We have a blank canvas, just like on the player side. We have this blank canvas of how we can build it, and we can look at previous clubs and how they've done things and take away some of the positives, maybe learn from some of the mistakes to make this club the best possible team in this area.
So when it comes to, Bob, when it comes to the new season coming up and your first season in USL League One, I know a lot of folks will sit there and say, well, yeah, it's over there. It's down the road. We'll get there and everything. You're looking at a date. But I know that those of you in the administration there at FC Naples, you're sitting there going, well, yeah, that might be true, but it's really not. It literally is just around the corner.
Correct.
When it comes to the to-do list, and this is a question that I like to ask of front office folks and owners and GMs and things, and I'll ask Matt this same question from the player perspective and the GM perspective after you give me the administrative side of things. I know that you always have a to-do list. And I mean, it could be on it could be on a legal pad in your office, tucked in a drawer someplace. Could be on a document that you have on your phone that you sit there and you pull out your stylus and you go, oh, I've got an idea. And you write it down. You put the stylus back in your phone and the document goes back and it stays there. It could be on one of those big dry erase boards that's like, the big white dry erase board in an office that's like 8 feet wide and 4 feet tall. It's got a lot of lines in and around it and everything. Where is this to-do list for you on the administrative side at FC Naples? And what do you think the next thing that you can cross off of that list is, knowing that you're starting sooner rather than later?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you that March is right around the corner, right? It's definitely not far away. The fall just tends to go by really quickly, right? Kids go back to school. There's a lot of holidays. So yeah, the fall goes by very quickly. How about all of the above, right? The eraser board, the notepad, the reminders app on my iPhone, right? They're everywhere, the to-do lists. But I think as a leader, and something I've learned from mentors in my career, is making sure you keep the top 3, 4, 5 priorities really top of mind, right? Because you can really get boiled down in the minutia if you're not careful, and then lose track and lose sight of what really are the key things, right? And for us, right, if we're taking away the sporting side, because that's obviously going to be handled by Matt, it's selling out the stadium, it's getting the sponsors, and it's creating a magnificent game day experience for the community, right? Those are the 3 things we need to do, and everything we do as a front office and as a team needs to support one of those 3 things.
Matt, where is your to-do list?
Running through my mind all day on my computer, on my phone, in my dreams. I don't know, you name it. It's in terms of the sporting side, it's some of it's a little bit different, right? Players right now, a lot of players that we're looking at are currently under contract. Their clubs may still not have decided if their option's being picked up or not. And some of them are still in college and waiting to see, will the MLS team come calling, or will they be passed out off of that? And, so it's doing a lot, but kind of having to understand there's a level of patience to it, right? You can't, good or bad, you can't go out and sign your whole roster today. And so it's, about building those relationships with agents, having communications about potential players, kind of that we're interested in them. Are they interested in us? And slowly just building those relationships so that when it gets into that fall, winter time, we are able to execute on contracts and build it. But yeah, it's definitely a fun challenge because truly right now any player is open and available. And again, as I said, there's a lot of players that I think just location wise want to come down and play. And I think that's a massive benefit in that process.
Matt Paul and Bob Moreno dropping by, hanging out with us to give the lowdown on FC Naples as they get ready for their first season in USL League One. Bob, when you've got a question about anything that comes with ownership and administration and trying to get something off from the ground up, who do you have on your speed dial to answer a question that will pick up? And it's like, man, 3:00 in the morning, I've got a question. I know I can call so-and-so and they'll pick up the phone. Who do you have on your speed dial to help you out in a situation like this, for where you have a blank slate, but you still have a pathway?
Yeah, and I think the first person is my wife, right? I think it starts at home.
Wise choice, sir.
Right? So I think when things are good at home and calm at home, it reflects on the business. So I think that's number one. I'm extremely lucky to have an amazing wife and family. The other 2 people that sort of come to mind are 2 of our advisors. The first one is a gentleman called Nick Simaka, who's on our advisory board. He owns a minor league baseball team in Joliet, Illinois. He's on the board of a couple of soccer teams in Europe, one in England, one in Germany. So he's a really good resource. He's an ex-McKinsey partner, right? So it's just a fantastic resource. And then a very close friend of mine, Alberto Perlman, who's the CEO and co-founder of Zumba Fitness, the largest fitness company in the world, right? So as you might know, John, I was there for 16 years of my life as the chief financial officer there, and a partner at the company. So Alberto is just an incredibly creative person, incredibly good-hearted, and really he's credited, along with obviously the whole team at Zumba, but he's leading the team with creating the world's largest community and the world's largest fitness company, with over 15 million people taking a Zumba class every week, right? So that's those are just two plus my wife of the resources I have, and I also have an amazing business partners, right? My business partners Daniel, Mark, and Sasha are just fantastic individuals, all with different skill sets. Yeah, we at our company we have open communication, transparency, and honesty, right? Those are values that we hold dearly.
All right. So Matt, who's on your speed dial?
So the top three, luckily, my former boss is Peter Wilt, who is known for starting clubs. I think he started 10 different clubs. So his experience I've definitely leaned on, just because he's done it at all different levels across the Midwest, of, from amateur all the way to the MLS. And inside of that, the head coach, the first head coach at Chicago House, where I previously was, is CJ Brown. And his experience starting a club, and obviously his 25 years of experience in the MLS as a player and coach is something I've leaned on. And the other big resource I've used is a guy named Nate Miller. He was the first coach at Lansing, and he's now an assistant coach at RSL in the MLS. And, to have numbers like that on speed dial that have been through it and have the understanding and perspective of the challenges, and again, some of the positives and negative decisions in the past that have led to success and failures is very, very beneficial.
So, Bob, when you mentioned USL League One, one of the first tenets I think that attracts folks to USL League One is the regional approach that the league has when it comes to its growth. And it started out with that southeastern hub, and it has gradually expanded to where you're starting to get like a western frontier now. You're going to have Antelope Valley coming in, Santa Barbara coming in to join Central Valley and Spokane, but you've got the southeastern footprint that is there. It's a part of USL League One. So you're jumping into this, and you've got some instant rivals that are attached to this thing now too.
Yeah, exactly. We obviously haven't started playing, so I can't tell you who exactly our arch rival is. But yes, I mean the fact that we have so many teams so close, right?
C, all of the above.
All of the above, right?
Y'all on, man.
We like shooting for the top, and there's obviously some amazing teams, right? Forward Madison, Omaha. We love the Richmond team and what they're doing at Richmond over there. So yeah, a lot of great examples.
All right, Matt. When it comes to the regionality of things, you're getting the chance to see how a South Georgia Tormenta is going about things in Statesboro. It's Greenville, it's Chattanooga, it's Charlotte, and now you get to add the Florida part to all of this. If I was to call you up and sit there and say, hey, I want to be a part of this, other than all of the things that we've been talking about this morning, is there something that what's the ace up the sleeve when it comes to a conversation about someone who might be just kind of kicking the tires, not sure about it? How would you turn my opinion to sit there and make FC Naples my number one priority if I was interested in doing a part of something in USL League One? What's the ace up the sleeve other than the weather and the superficial things? What's the ace up your sleeve in conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends again on where the player's at, right? If they're a young player, I'll speak more towards the potential opportunities, connections we have to continue to move that player higher. If it's an older player, maybe it's more of being a part of history and laying the groundwork for hopefully years and years and years and years to come of what this identity can be. I think the ability to come in at the ground floor is such a unique experience. And what's fascinating outside of, massive clubs that can just overhaul everything with hundreds of millions of dollars. Outside of that, club reputations of what they are, consistently, even when the players leave, the coaches leave, everything turns over, that history and identity tends to stay the same for a reason. And so I think all the more important and yet special to have the opportunity as a player to build what that history can be.
Gentlemen, it has been fun. Bob Moreno, Matt Poland, who are part of the Brain Trust building FC Naples, fcnaples.com and FC Naples on all of the social medias to see how things are being built. It's great to catch up with you guys. I'm glad that I was finally able to grab this comet by the tail that is known as FC Naples and have you guys locked in place for 25 minutes so we could find out what's going on with you guys. I can't thank you guys enough for dropping by. Obviously, if it's okay, we like to keep checking in occasionally as to see what's going on and see how things continue to grow. I can't thank you guys enough for dropping by here on the morning show. Continued success. May there be blue skies. And may the afternoon thunder showers only be for 20 minutes or so, and then the humidity goes and wanders away. I can't thank you guys enough for dropping by this morning. Bob, Matt, thanks again.
Love that. Thank you, John.
Thank you. I thought of one last thing real quick before I go.
Matt.
Maybe the plan should be wait to call any player until December and then FaceTime them from the beach to try to sell them on coming here, right?
There you go. Yes. Beach FaceTimes. Absolutely true. So we'll hang. So next time, Matt, do us a favor. Next time, or when we talk in like the winter, do that. Can you stand on the beach and do our interview, or can both of you stand on the beach and do the interview next time we catch up, or when we catch up in the winter? Can we do that? Would that work?
Perfect.
Love that.
Guys, once again, looking forward to it. Thanks again. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Bob Moreno and Matt Poland, who are the brain trust at part of the brain trust at FC Naples. Matt is the head coach and a technical director, and Bob is the CEO down there. And I can't wait to when we catch up with them in the winter before their first season, like when they're in training camp and stuff. I want to have that visual of the water behind them as they do the interview. Obviously, we'd have to invest in some windscreens for them, or at least they turn their computers or their devices a certain way, so everything would be locked in place. But no, thanks to I've been trying to get that interview for a while. You can't get the gear, FC Naples gear. I mean, as soon as Nico Cantor started wearing it on Morning Footy, and they had the big introduction on Golasso Network about what he's a part of down there with FC Naples, you can't get the gear. You can't get the gear that you want. So it is a tall order to take something from scratch and continue to build it. They're doing that right now, and I can't thank them for both hanging out for as long as they did to answer our questions. But it's really cool to see how the footprint in the Southeast and in the state of Florida. Is Florida technically Southeast, or is it different? How it continues to grow when it comes to the sport of soccer and in USL League One. Because when you look at USL League One now, you look at how things are going to be for them next year. They're getting that Western hub squared away. And so you now have in the Eastern footprint, Charlotte, Chattanooga, Greenville, Knoxville, Lexington, Richmond, if you want to call them the Southeast, Statesboro, and then you've got FC Naples coming in as a part of this. They're adding 6 clubs. They're adding 6 clubs in the future very, very quickly in USL League One. They're adding Antelope Valley, AV Alta, and we need to catch up with them and see how things are. But AV Alta, the Antelope Valley franchise, the Santa Barbara franchise, Central Valley is there. So you've got that triangle of rivals in USL League One. You've got FC Naples coming online. You got Portland Hearts of Pine. By the way, you want to talk about not being able to get gear? Portland Hearts of Pine is a great look in Portland, Maine. Then you've got Texoma FC, which is right there in the Sherman Ada Ardmore double market in between Oklahoma City and Dallas, right there on the border. Sherman Ada Ardmore, right there. And then Westchester Soccer Club in Westchester, New York. Adding 6 clubs, getting Westchester to add to your footprint gives you that first club in the Northeast to help you build up that way. But you've got Ford Madison in the Midwest. You've got Union Omaha in the Midwest. Natural rivalry there. And we mentioned everything going on with Spokane and that Western hub that's being added to. So interesting things in USL League One. They're getting to a point where they'll have 18 franchises. And I know that there's some discussions. Next time that Kaylor Hodges comes on at the end of this month, since we are now in the month of August, there's some concerns about Northern Colorado. And we'll keep an ear to the train tracks about that. But we'll see what's going on with Northern Colorado. And right now you're going to be at 18 teams in USL League One. And you're getting to the point to where you can almost have an East and a West or a North and a South. And then they can kind of stay to themselves in the geographic sense and maybe have the occasional crossover. But you're getting to the point to where you can actually have exclusive divisions where you're playing yourselves and you're not having to travel from one end of the planet to the other just to have a game. So USL League One continues their growth. 18 teams coming up in short order with the additions of Antelope Valley, Naples, Portland, Maine, Santa Barbara, Westchester, and Texoma and the Arklatex. All right, so it is 10 o'clock. It's hour number 2 here on a Thursday. And we know what that means. It is time to bring in our buddy, Nino Torres. How you doing, brother?
Yellow, my friends. How you doing, man? How you doing, John? I'm pretty good here. I'm excited. I'm all pumped about these Olympics, man. It's just crazy waking up at 2 a.m. to watch my Peruvian athletes. I'm so pumped, man. I love the Olympics. And second week coming. That means track and field tomorrow. Woo, baby. Woo. It's going to be awesome.
Well, and so I wanted to let you come in and basically talk about what you want to talk about, because we're kind of in between competitions. But since you went there, let's start with the Olympics. And we discussed what happened yesterday with Canada Soccer. And FIFA came out with their 26 pages of what went wrong with the drones and the spying and everything, where the head women's coach, she got a year on the bench. The assistant got a year on the bench. The analyst got a year on the bench. You got a 6-point penalty, and you still made it through on the women's side in that group, which was crazy in and of itself. But you have a country in an uproar on a bunch of different levels. When you saw all of this stuff come to the fore about what's going on with Canada Soccer and drones and all of this, what's running through your mind?
That anything is possible on these Olympics, man. You know what? After that ceremony, that opening ceremony, that still bothers me. Still, it's in my head. It's still just, I can't believe that they pulled that off. It was just ridiculous. And then we have, the surfing competition 15 miles away. You got the issues with the river, with the E. coli situation on the river. The river is not suitable for not forget about athletes, for people, for human beings, man. So this is just tiny thing, man. It's just a couple of it's just so tiny that I think it's gonna make a serious impact in the competition, man. They came out with the banning situation, and I think it's just gonna move to the side, and everybody's gonna focus on the next competition, and it is what it is, man. It really is this Olympics. There's so much controversy, and not controversy. I mean, there's controversy, of course, but issues, man. Issues. I mean, usually is the Olympics, which is such the biggest event in sports. Usually, the countries that the host countries, host cities in this case, they do their best, man. You got the best of the best, and logistics, accommodations, food. And now we got cardboard beds for the athletes because they don't want to have sex, but they can have a freaking Sodom and Gomorrah thing on the opening ceremony. But now you cannot have sex because it's, what? It's crazy, man. These Olympics are just so cuckoo, man.
Well, I mean, with Canada, it's like they decided Canada has this apparent culture of cheating. And it goes back to using drones to shoot practice video of your opposition. It reminds me of Bielsa with the guy when he was at Leeds. Bielsa's analyst gets caught, and not drones, but like literally just like looking through the bushes, and he's looking through the bushes at practice. And the funny thing about that was, it's like Bielsa calls a press conference when he's at Leeds. And the British press is like, oh, Bielsa is going to retire. He's going to resign because of everything going on. Bielsa is going. And so what does Bielsa do? Bielsa busts out a PowerPoint presentation. And I mean, old school PowerPoint presentation where he's going through the whole thing. And it's like, this is what I'm seeing with the opposition. And this is why I don't need to go and cheat. But I see analysts there anyway. Canada, apparently in Canada soccer, has been using drones forever. And they got busted for using drones in this Olympics tournament. Not once, not twice like we thought, but according to FIFA, 3 times in
the same competition
in this Olympics.
What?
3 times they were using drones to spy on the opposition, and they got busted. And so Canada soccer, that's why on the women's side, they had this big investigation, and they come out, and it's like, okay, you can't do that. You can't do that. So the head women's coach, she's suspended for a year. She got removed from her gig, and then she got suspended for a year. Same with one of her assistants, and same with the analyst that got busted with the drone. It has been so out of control with Canada soccer, and they appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and Cass was like, nah, bruh. No, not happening.
No way.
You don't do what you've done, but apparently it has been so pervasive in their culture that they've done it, and now they finally got busted to the extent they got busted.
I'm not just gonna make you a joke, but just do it, and it's harmless. Unless Judge Judy is in the Court of Arbitrations, Canada has no chance, no chance. And not only there in that instance, okay, because this is just not about the Olympics, all right? It's about soccer, and the FIFA should have a big word of this, man. Big word, and I think that something more heavy sanction is going to come to Canada after the Olympics. The thing is, now FIFA doesn't want to really take over, all right, in these decisions, because it's an Olympic. This is not their competition. It's affiliated, but it's not their competition. So after the Olympics are done, watch what's coming. I mean, something is coming, and they're not gonna let this pass just that easy, man, because they're not French. Okay.
Yeah, well, and they also got fined like $300,000.
That's nothing, man.
And here's something that I thought was really disappointing. We know right now that Canada soccer, they're having financial problems. They've had them for a while. They literally had to have Jesse Marsh's gig sponsored by the MLS teams in Canada to help pay his salary, and I'm guessing the salary of his staff. So you've got that just to try to make ends meet. The government's helping them out with funding. You have the MLS. They burned through, I want to say, $10 million in a really short period of time just to try to make things meet. That they can't have. They're having problems having their own friendlies scheduled because they don't have the money to help pay for those friendlies. So all of their friendlies are on the road outside the country, because those are bought and paid for situations. It's like, we'll schedule a friendly with this team because they're already here. We'll come down because that stuff's already paid for. The Canadian government basically told Canada Soccer, we're going to pull funding from you because of what's going on with your program. And it's because you're penalizing the players for what's going on with the coach. And the minister of sport was basically like, well, no, we're going to pull funding until you guys get things squared away. And you can't do that if you've already gotten in and you know what the issue is. The issue is the individual. The issue is not
just ban the coach for life.
Right.
Ban the coach for life. A good coach, I don't know, badminton.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, she got a year. Right now, she got a year from FIFA. So she and her assistant and the analyst that got busted for the drones, they got a year.
Yeah, but the sanctions that are coming to Canada's federation are going to go to the federation, not just to the individual. But wow, taking the funding out of the Jesus Lord, this is like a third world situation, man. Not even Peru happens that, man. Not even here, man. It's just crazy, man. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What are they thinking?
What would happen? Does the Peruvian government help out Peru soccer, or does the Peruvian?
No, it's independent.
Okay, so the infrastructure is in place, so the Peruvian national team can function on its own financially. Everything's cool in that regard.
Yes, absolutely. The Peruvian government doesn't have not putting any penny on the Peruvian Soccer Federation, but on the Jesus, man, that's another thing. In Peru is crazy because the money is there, because there is money, big money, right? All the federations, they're part of the Olympic Committee here in Peru. So every year there's some funding going to the sports, to each sport, right? That 4 million for you, 2 million for you, 4 million for you. And it's just the corruption is so big, man. It's just so big. You have no idea, right? Like just to give you an idea, right? More discussed that I was talking to these people from these federations, basketball federation. By the way, we're banned from. We don't have a soccer, being a basketball team. We don't have a basketball federation associated to FIBA, because FIBA suspended us because there were two groups. No, I am this Peruvian Soccer Basketball Federation. No, I am. So, and FIFA was like, this can be only one. So you guys figured it out. But in the meantime, you have no participation in international basketball. So we don't. It's that bad. So I forgot what it was, what sport was. I think it was boxing. Boxing. It was boxing. So it was 4 million. The 4 million soles, which is 1.5 mil in US dollars for the year. They organize in tournaments, and every tournament costs about like $20,000. And they said, no, we don't have money. We only have money for one tournament. Only $20,000. What about the other 1.5 million, man? Oh no, it's not there.
Here's 20 grand. Where's the other 1.5 million? I don't know.
I don't know, man. Yeah, just like that. Just like that's how bad it is in terms of money in Canada. So how in the world Canada doesn't have money? for the Canadian Soccer Federation. It's just no.
It's
Don't believe that.
it's not something that as a nation they have really invested in. And so now that they're being successful, and now that because you have the World Cup coming in 26, you know,
Right.
you got to step up to the plate somehow. And so what they did is they basically turned it into a tenured professorship, as our buddy Bart Keeler from the Soccer for US pod calls it. It is a tenured professorship. Literally, it is a sponsored gig that Jesse Marsh. There is an actual long title. I got to see if let me see if I can find out what the actual title is. But yeah, it is a sponsored gig. Jesse Marsh official title. So it's because it's more than just like, you know, he's the head coach of the federation kind of thing.
No.
Jesse Marsh. Why is Jesse Marsh's job with Canada sponsored by the MLS? Because they don't have the money. It is MLS Canada men's national team head coach Jesse Marsh. That is the title. MLS Canada men's national team head coach, because basically the franchises in Major League Soccer in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, they sponsored the gig. That's where Canada Soccer is financially right now on their own. And that's even with governmental assistance. That they had to go to the 3 franchises in Major League Soccer and go, can you help us out and help pay this guy's salary, and I imagine his staff's salary, and I imagine the travel that he thinks he needs to go and scout players and do things, unless it's like, nope, you got to do things via Zoom. I don't know to what extent MLS Canada is helping out the budgets or helping out defray costs, but that's the way it is. MLS Canada men's national team head coach Jesse Marsh. That is how bad things are in Canada right now.
It's unreal. I just don't believe it, man. I don't believe that we are actually discussing this from Canada, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've seen, you know, really unreal stuff happening in soccer, but not that. You know, I'm gonna give you this, right? Because you asked me about the Peruvian government and the Peruvian Soccer Federation.
Mm-hmm.
We went in a ridiculous situation here in Peru, and what was 2000? What was that year? 03 or 04, I think it was. All right, there was this Brazilian head coach hired by the Peruvian Soccer Federation, and the results were bad, right? We did not win a single game on those qualifiers. 2000, for Germany, for Germany 2006. Of course, we didn't qualify. In the parliament, right, the Congress, call out the head coach to ask him about his finances and what are you getting this money? How are you getting this money? And he went there, right? The coach went there and was like, all right, guys, I came here because I'm working in this country. I respect your country, but that's none of your business. This is a private contract. This is a private contract. I can do with my money whatever I want. So it was a freak show, and he handled it so cool. He was respectful, and but the guys with the congressmen were asking if they were. It was crazy. It was crazy, and that's probably one of the most bizarre things that I've seen in terms of, you know, Peruvian federations and governments, but not getting enough money to pay your coach.
Mm-hmm. You got to get it sponsored. It's like having your grocery store sponsor your meals and stuff like that. That's where you are. When have you been, you know, watching the Olympic men's and women's tournaments? Have you been watching what's going on the field at the Olympic tournament?
I watch a little bit, man. A little bit, to be honest. I can't, because it's 2 a.m. It's kind of complicated. Unless it's not my team, I won't wake up. So I'll watch the couple of games from Argentina. I know they're playing France, but I haven't really following the soccer Olympics. I don't know why, man. It's.
But if it's at 2:00 in the morning, you're not going to watch it. That's why you're not.
Yeah. But I want to watch. I want to wake up tomorrow. Tomorrow at 3 a.m. because. All right, I'm gonna give you this. You need to follow these categories, right?
All right.
Women's high jump.
Okay.
Women's high jump. And then I'm going to watch the women's beach volleyball.
Okay.
And track and field. Track and field, give me Sharika Jackson, give me all those guys. It's going to be so hot, those races, man. 100 meters, 200 meters, relays. I'm all about speed, all about sprinters. But, to share with you guys, if you don't know, my dad was an athlete, a national team. He got his bronze medal from the South American Games back in '66.
Really?
Relay 400 for relay 100 meters in that one.
Okay.
So it's all about speed. Sprinters are it's awesome, man. And this is my prediction. All right, save this prediction, guys. No athlete on the 100 meters is gonna break down the 9.7.
Oh,
I think nobody's gonna run below 9.7. Nobody.
Well, you saw the track. The track is purple, I think, and it's been made of like special. It's got a special formula that's been made to it, and the folks that created the track are like, "Yeah, man, this is 0.2 faster than it has been in the past." So the dudes that built this track and created it, they're thinking that they might get some records out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Unless it's made of tofu or something. That track, man. What is this? No, I don't think so. I forgot the name of this. It's Nigerian on Amiala, on Omaniala. She says Omaniala. I think so, Omaniala. He's my candidate to win the 100 meters. I think Noah Lyles is. I know all these sprinters are all cocky, all about the show, but I don't recall Usain Bolt being cocky before the competitions. Not much talking before the competitions, right? Afterwards, yes.
Oh yeah.
But before, no. He speaks on the pitch, on the field, on the track.
What off the field when we've done our Soccer Over There show on Monday nights in the past, we started and we absolutely fell in love with Becca Sese and Defensa y Justicia.
Oh,
we absolutely. The man has the best flow as a coach that you could ever have. I mean, that flow is there, and he's just that head of lettuce that Becca Sese has is unparalleled.
Yeah.
And now apparently he's plugged into the Ecuadorian national gig. Did I see that right?
Yeah. That's right. It came out yesterday, I think. It was yesterday or the day before. I think he's gonna be the right fit for Ecuador. I think he's gonna be the right fit. That relationship with the Spaniard, with Felix Baez, it wasn't there from the beginning, man. From the very beginning, that relationship did not click. He did not click with the players. He did not click with the federation. I think it was forced. I'm not forced, but this because Ecuador has a commercial relationship with La Liga, right? They got lots of coaches coming in to Peruvian to the Colombian Soccer Federation, and I think that was we got this guy who work, he worked in Qatar, and all right, bring it in, but he needs to know the culture, man. He needs to know the culture. And South American players, they're not easy, man. They're not easy. I don't recall, when was that? Was Queiroz, right? It was Queiroz. I think the only European coach that worked out here in South America was Oscar Gorta. since then, I don't recall any other non-South American coach having success in CONMEBOL. Right, so I think that's what it is. It's a cultural thing in BKCC, because you do have a lot of young players on this roster of Ecuador that he has that feeling with the youngsters. You know, he has that the long hair, all that. You know, and it's a click, and I've seen that happening for BKCC. I'm telling you.
What are you calling these days on GOLTV? Because I know today in Peru at 4:00 Eastern time, Cajamarca's taking on Alianza.
All right.
Cajamarca's favored at a -109 in the juice boxes. What are folks missing by not hearing you on GOLTV?
Oh, we got a big game on Sunday, man. We got a big game on Sunday. I just actually my schedule just came up just like a couple of minutes ago. Now I'll open it up right now. We have PSV versus Feyenoord on Sunday. The Netherlands Super Cup. And we got Nacional Peñarol. I'm not doing the Clásico in Uruguay. I'm doing Universitario. My beloved Universitario is playing on Sunday night. And we won the Clásico. Because all you folks that you know, we won the Clásico over Alianza Lima. And we made him fire their coach, fire the technical director again for the second consecutive time.
Wow.
We won in the finals back in November of last year. And they fired the coach. And then we won the Clásico again this year. And they fired the coach. 2 consecutive. And I haven't seen that happening before. Back-to-back Clásicos winning and forcing the opponent to fire their coach. It's unreal. There's no, you know, there are rivalries in the MLS, right?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like there's in Atlanta. Who do you hate? You don't hate anybody.
Oh yeah, we do.
We do. You do?
Yeah,
Who
we
do. You
do.
hate?
The purple team down in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
You got them. You got Nashville. You got Charlotte. They're all there, brother.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, there's some hatred there.
I remember the Columbus Crew with New England Revolution. Ooh boy.
Yeah, and now
Cincinnati, they came up late. They're the youngest kids of the house, you know. So,
no doubt.
Let him be.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you have a Raul Ruidiaz question for Nico when he comes in after you in about 10 minutes?
Man, why is he playing like that, man? He's injured now. You know, he's been injured, and he's just going into the training camps, and you know what? I think I give up on that one. I think I give up on that, man. I think I gave up on Raul, thinking and dreaming that he's going to come, but I don't think it's going to come, man. I don't think it's going to come.
Okay.
I really give up my chances. We're losing another player. We lost our goalie, man, in the Universitario. He's injured after the Clásico. I think he broke his left foot, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, after that collision. So he's going to be out for like a month or so. But the backup goalie, the kid, he's 23. He's awesome. So he played an outstanding game last night, even though we lost. But it was a great game. I think we're good on that role. But I'm excited also because next Friday, Liga Portugal is back on GOLTV.
There you go.
With the reigning champions opening the season, Sporting Club. And as I said, my boys from Sporting, we got a podcast on Tuesday nights. It's Tuga Tuesdays. We'll talk about all the leagues and all the teams in Portugal. They were begging me, Nino, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Don't say that Sporting is going to win because they're not going to win. We win 19 years without winning. Listen, they're going to win. Just trust me, man. I was like that since round 3, right? because I was so impressed with the performances. I was like, all right, this team can win. This team can win. And then round 4, 5, 6, 34. But the round 32, though, I was asking the guys, do you believe me now? Yeah, we believe you. We believe you. Man, it was crazy.
Okay. Well, as always, my friend, we'll catch up with you on GOLTV. For those that don't have GOLTV, you can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can be a true degenerate and watch your boy Nino, like me, on the weekends and shoot you WhatsApp messages about blowouts and things like that you're calling them. Shoot you messages live like I always do. It's always great to see you, my friend, on Thursdays right here in this slot, talking about whatever you want to talk about. Catch up with you again next week, and we'll talk about everything else soccer over there, down here, around the corner, and all that. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. We'll see you next week, guys.
You got it. That's Nino. That's the first half of Thursday. The Nino and Nico show. I just may as well just go ahead and just let it be Nino and Nico. The Nino and Nico hour. That's what it is. But no, it's always fun to catch up with my friend Nino and find out what's going on in his mind. Because trying to catch up with him and his brain is very, very difficult for me. His brain runs at 9,000 miles an hour. And for a guy like me, it's hard. I got to grab onto that comment like this. It's like both hands. I got to try and grab onto that comment and see what he's talking about. But no, it's always fun to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV at ESPNINO. And that's where you find him on the Twitters. ESPNINO74. ESPNino74, GOLTV. And be a true degenerate like me. If you really want to watch true degenerate leagues across the planet, you can sign up for Fanatis. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. But no, it's always great to catch up with our friend Nino Torres from GOLTV and get his perspectives about what he's watching, what to watch. It's a great education that we get from Nino every week because because of the game being as global as it is now, it's a great education because of what Atlanta United has been able to find in South America. And it's been an education there. And we get to continue the education with Nino on a weekly basis because Nino watches the leagues in South America, calls the leagues in South America, but he also calls what's going on in Europe. And so to get the education about what's going on in the world and who could be making their way. And, I heard about this player who might be coming to Major League Soccer. What about him? You get to find out that kind of stuff from Nino on a weekly basis. And it's always a hoot to catch up with our buddy Nino and find out what's going on in his brain. Abby, in our discussion with about Canada soccer before Nino came on, Nix hopes it catches up with Herdman somehow. It should. The way that the evidence is being presented and the way that it was presented in the FIFA document, that it started with Herdman and that Priestman, the coach Priestman, being a disciple of Herdman, continued it. And so we'll see what happens there. Abby says, question is, for Abby, for it to have gone on as long as it has, Canada Soccer should have known something. And I said you would think. Unless there's an element of plausible deniability there and they were not interested in knowing. It's just like, go, and we don't want to know. But we don't know that yet. Morning, Alex. Morning, Pars. Morning, Rich. Morning, Abby. Morning, Alex. I'm trying to see if there's anybody. Morning, Nix. Yes, the Bielsa PowerPoint was, in fact, epic. And Abby, reminder, and this is where Bart will be with us tomorrow. Abby with a reminder, Fido Midtown, 9 a.m. to watch the men's national team. Bart will be there. He'll be batting leadoff for us tomorrow. And we will discuss what's going on. And Morning Four Card. He'll be discussing what's on his brain with the women's national team, the men's national team. So we won't be getting live play-by-play, but he'll be there, and it might be noise. There might be cussing, and there might be a lot of hooting and hollering going on. So Bart Keeler will be joining us. He'll be back from Vegas. Bart will be with us batting leadoff tomorrow. Hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring will be joining us in the 10 o'clock hour. We catch up with both of the teams in the NPSL championship game. That is this weekend in New Jersey on the campus of Drew University. FC Motown chasing after yet another title in the NPSL. And our friends from FC Motown will be joining us at 10. Our friends from El Farolito will be joining us at 10:20. And so that way that'll carry us into 10:40, and we'll see what's on Jason's mind to kind of put a bow on the week. And we'll find out about Leagues Cup. We got Leagues Cup to talk about with Nico when he drops in here in just a little bit. We'll go through everything that happened. There were 6 matches last night in Leagues Cup. Some folks are further along in their process of being in. Some folks are further along in their process of being out. Olivier Giroud, apparently the most handsome man in Major League Soccer, is here, and he has the scarf, he's got the cap, he's got the jersey. They gave him what number did they give him? Did they give him the number 9? But yeah, officially it's over. He wandered in the door yesterday afternoon, late night, and so happy to be in LA. Can't wait to see you. But yes, he's done the official presentation to be one of the most handsome men in all of Major League Soccer. So that in fact has happened. Ben Jacobs has let us know that the Saudi presentation for the 2034 World Cup bid is now out. 15 stadia, 11 of which new, 8 in Riyadh, including the King Salman International Stadium, which will host the opening game and the final. 4 venues in Jeddah, plus the Aramco Stadium in Riyadh, which will be home to the newly promoted Al Qadsiya. Also a stadium in Abha, and one in the super city Neom that will be built 350 meters above ground. Saudi Football Federation President Yasser Al-Misahal, quote, "There is complete synergy and coordination among all government sectors to ensure the success of our bid will deliver the best edition in the history of the World Cup." So we'll see. And their video is out, and it's slightly over 2 minutes in length. And so that's where that is. That is officially official. And so last half hour of the show on a Thursday, that means one thing. It means we go to Seattle and find out what's going on with Nico Moreno, the second half of the Nino and Nico half of the Nino and Nico hour. Man, I feel like I need to be on my 3rd cup of coffee. Are you on number 2?
That's right, baby. I'm on number 2. That's a tough one to say. You know what? The Peter, Pat, or whatever. It's tough. It's tough to put it all together. But yeah, excited to be here. Cup number 2. Starting to feel that second cup just now. It's been fun. It's been busy out here in the Pacific Northwest, covering a Sounders team that's beginning to give the fans something to smile about. Still not, completely over some things, but at least there is a little bit of hope here in the Pacific Northwest. And we've had a really good Leagues Cup, man. It's been fun. I mean, I know a lot of people have some notions about the Leagues Cup, but I think it's been good, man. It's been feisty, chippy. It's been some really good goals. I mean, it's been interesting.
How interesting has it been for you? Because to your point, folks are either as high or as low on Leagues Cup as they are about Open Cup. They, it's like, I'm not going to that. I'm not going to that either.
Yep.
I don't care. I mean, so you think that Leagues Cup's gaining traction, and obviously wins will do that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you put it perfectly, right? Those who are, just believers that the only way for MLS to realize that they have to provide more of a support and market and embrace the beauty and the history of US Open Cup is to either boycott or not go or not even comment. I've been told, please don't cover it. It's people's prerogatives. And I can respect that. For me, I think that it has gained traction, at least in the entertainment value of each game and the storylines that have been provided, in reviving and kind of throwing a lifeline to certain teams like San Jose that all of a sudden is playing decently, like Austin, that, they're a team that, I wasn't really thinking they were going to be very good in this tournament, and they've gone against the best and they've beat the best. And I mean, it's just been very interesting how this has played out. So yeah, I think that there is value to it. I think that there's a competition value, and we've seen it on the pitch. And those who say, hey, Mexican teams aren't really taking it seriously or not, I mean, the fights, the arguments, some of the things that we've seen in game, I mean, they care. Anybody that's in this tournament that is out here, they're not vacationing. I mean, this is another tournament for their entire calendar year. So you best believe that they want to win. They want to come out here, and nobody wants to get, crow thrown at their face in a tournament like this one. And there's always going to be competition between Liga MX and MLS, and you see that in every single match. So I think that has been interesting. And now it's been kind of cool to see. Yesterday we talked to Brian Smetzer, and he said, I think Mexican teams are getting a taste of their own medicine in terms of the MLS teams have had in the past issues in CCL and tournaments where they're just starting their season. They're not in rhythm. They're just coming off preseason. Now the Mexican teams are coming in with maybe 4-5 games, maybe going into this tournament, and you've seen some of the issues that they've had. So I just think it's been cool. It's been an interesting tournament.
Right now, you look at the standings, and it is a mixed bag for Liga MX. And I know that as we get into the discussion about Leagues Cup, we'll probably end up fixing Leagues Cup by the time we're done with this half hour. Atlas, they won their one match against Houston. Obviously, they're leading the group. Vancouver, Tijuana right now at the bottom after losing their first match in their group. Necaxa lost their first match, and so they've got some uphill climbing to do out west. León lost their first match to Portland, so obviously they got some work to do. Toluca has yet to play in the tournament. Juarez will help eliminate Dallas. Dallas is in the barn, and so Juarez in all caps, they're making it through because Dallas, two losses, you're out. Chivas, they've got some work to do with the matchup against LAG. San Jose's in the barn. They've got 2 points, so Chivas needs a result, and then you get math. Then you look at Pumas and Monterrey, and Austin is in. So either Pumas or Monterrey is going to be out. And that's a big dog in Liga MX that could be out possibly with Monterrey after they lose to Austin. But it's going to be interesting with Pumas and Monterrey being an elimination game. That to me is an interesting element in all of this out west. Santos Laguna, they lose to DC. And so now it comes down to what Atlanta needs to do on the weekend. Pachuca helped eliminate New York Red Bulls. Mazatlan is in the barn at 3 points. And so New England and Nashville, if they turn that into a street fight, Mazatlan could advance. So right now it's a mixed bag. Puebla out. Cruz Azul with work to do. Atlético San Luis with a lot of work to do. Querétaro, a little less work to do. But now it's a mixed bag, I think, this time around so far.
Yeah, it's definitely been a mixed bag, but the clear better teams in terms of 90 minutes and just about every game that I've watched, MLS teams have been a lot better. I mean, that DC United game last night, I mean, they ran over Santos Laguna, and I know Santos Laguna is struggling and they're not even doing well to start off their own year, and they have a whole bunch of work to do in that roster. But I mean, DC United was a lot better. I mean, it wasn't just a little bit; they were way better. I think that in the San Jose Chivas game, I thought San Jose was better, a lot better. And they, Chivas rescues and goes into penalty kicks and loses that in PKs. But that was late. That was like 89th minute. So I think, Austin, I don't know if I was watching Austin or Austin Villa. I mean, it was just so interesting the way they just decided to come out and play against Monterrey, one of the best teams in Mexico, and it just happens to go their way. They just look so good. Even the Houston Atlas game, which was one of the few Mexican teams that actually beat their MLS opposition throughout the last couple of weeks, and even that game wasn't all that good. Now Dallas, they did throw up a stinker, and they had a couple of chances. Leggett gets one in front of goal. Musa gets one in front of goal, and they can't really put it together. And they end up obviously putting themselves in a bad predicament, in a bad situation. I thought Charlotte was really good against Cruz Azul. Of course, Cruz Azul with Charlie Rodriguez and the rest of that team, they were creating some chances of opportunities. But even with the backup goalkeeper, they end up pulling this one through. And man, Bigham had a huge game. I mean, not big. It was huge. He was just so good. A couple of opportunities within the game, some saves, some spectacular saves, and then in the PK shootout, 2 saves. I mean, I just think MLS teams have been able to do a lot of things, rotating squad, playing good soccer, getting the results. I mean, I think it's been a slam dunk for MLS, at least for now in this tournament.
That's still got to drive Liga MX teams a bit crazy that they don't get any home games out of this whole deal. I mean, I know that it'd be kind of cool for those of us who watch it and cover it to get Liga MX teams to have, their own home matches in their home stadia, but I get the idea of, TV production and difficulties and borders and customs and all those other things that you've got to figure out. But I mean, there's got to be a point at some time where Liga MX gets home matches in all of this, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, look, attendance hasn't been incredible, and that's something that whether it's groups of fans boycotting it, or whether it's ticket prices, or the fact that some matches aren't necessarily in your season tickets, or whatever it is that's happening. I think that you saw it in Dallas. I mean, that wasn't a site of a full stadium. There's been issues with attendance. So I think that's what held back the idea of doing some games in Mexico, because obviously the money grab is here, and there is some money grab aspects to this tournament.
The TV contract is here too.
It is here as well. There is a whole bunch of ways that I think we can make Leagues Cup better, and some other things. Look, hear me out real quick. Me and John Rojas during Soccer Bar, we talked about the idea that there was a little bit of a sense that players in the All-Star game weren't as excited to be there as in the past, and maybe that becomes a little bit stagnant and not as cool. I was saying, why don't you take a page out of baseball All-Star game, and maybe have the MLS side, MX side play, and whoever wins that match ends up with a semifinal hosted on their end, or a final hosted on their end, or starting with the quarter games. You start kind of mix and matching where the hosting is. I don't know, but I do believe that there's been a lot of players like Iñak that have mentioned the fact that they don't think it's fair that there is no games played in Mexico. So I think there's an opportunity in the future that can get fixed, and it makes it more interesting, I think. I mean, growing up with Copa Libertadores, I always liked the fact that you had to go win over there, and then maybe you held up over there, you come win it at home. All those things are interesting. So I see this getting better. And again, I do like this tournament, and I am one that hopes it continues to get better, and that fans can get behind it, and that maybe there is the exact same ideology and support from MLS to maybe do something more with U.S. soccer, because the point has been made that fans are upset and why they're upset, and I get why they're upset, and maybe ticket prices and ticketing attendance are they as marketable as Leagues Cup? No, but I think that the fact that U.S. soccer has so much history and richness and beauty of things like playing at Starfire in a semifinal against LAFC. I mean, those are cuckoo things that I think are cool. They're interesting. So I hope that MLS can really get behind that and support both tournaments, and fans can be happy and support both tournaments.
Who have you been most forward to watching in Leagues Cup? I know that there are some of us that sit there and we gravitate toward guys like Gignac. And, for those of us that watch Liga MX on a regular basis, we know what guys like Martin and Gignac can bring to the table. Who have you been most forward to watching in Leagues Cup against Major League Soccer competition?
Salomon Rondon is a guy that, his physicality, his experience, and he he's had some issues against the opposition. So that one's it's interesting to me because I always felt like he was a guy that at some point was flirting with MLS as well. And I thought that Red Bulls did a very good job at making him uncomfortable. He still scored, but I thought that, that one was interesting. Another player that is always on my mind and that did not have a good game, and that ended up getting shocked by Austin, ends up being Berterame. He's a guy that, is another guy that's further with MLS, and that I think he's a fantastic player, and it hasn't really come through. Tecatito Corona is another guy that I always keep my eye on, that I like to see him play. I think he's fun. He was my son's favorite player when he was in his heyday, and my son was a lot younger, so I always keep my eye on him. So those are some of the guys that, they're interesting. I want to see, I don't know if Alexis Vega is injured or what the deal is with him, but I want to see more of Alexis Vega. He's a guy that I've always liked. I feel like he's one of the guys that for Chivas is always fun to watch. And then, of course, the MLSers. Cade Cowell, who had an awful game against San Jose. I mean, not awful game. I felt bad for him. I mean, I don't know if it was the pressure, but he just looked nervous. I mean, the first touch was bad. Opportunities in front of goal was bad. He ends up missing his PK. Brandon Vasquez, of course, another one. And so those little storylines have been interesting.
When you look at Seattle, I know that a lot of folks are our buddy Nino, he was kind of wondering whether or not he should ask another Rui Diaz question. But I'll ask a Rui Diaz question. How is he physically, considering what happened with the contact in a match? It looked like it really hit him hard. What's the injury update on Raul?
For those who maybe didn't see it, Raul Diaz was taken out in the first game between Minnesota and Sounders in their Leagues Cup debut in a reckless tackle from Hassani Dotson. I mean, it was bad. It was jail time type of a challenge, and I was surprised that Eric Ramsey, I know that's his guy, but the fact he said he thought the ref was harsh just blew my mind. He got an extra game because of the severity of the foul. Dotson did. And Raul Diaz, in terms of physically, he was good. I mean, I said this right after the game. I had a video on my Twitter feed about him walking out off the field on his own, no support, no crutches, no need of anything. That was a good sign. I asked Brian right after the game. That was a good sign. We spoke to Brian on Tuesday, and he mentioned that Raul is going to tell you he's fine right now. He said he'll make it to Sunday's game. He's not going to make it. There's some swelling that we've seen. There's some swelling that needs to be taken care of. Brian said that MCLs are tricky, but that he doesn't expect it to be beyond 2 to 3 weeks. He's been training. He was training every day this week, off to the side, of course, doing some running, some sprinting, some ball control. So all those things are positive to say that it wasn't a severe injury. And I think Raul and the Sounders got lucky that was the case, because it was pretty ugly tackle. But I think that he's in good health. I think that obviously he's not 100%, but again, the fact that he's out there running around, doing sprints, working on his game is a sign that he'll be back hopefully in between those 3 weeks.
How much Olympics have you been watching, either men's, women's, or any other squads?
A lot, not all soccer though. I am a big boxing guy, so I've been watching a lot of boxing. My daughter likes gymnastics, so I've seen some gymnastics. I thought the U.S. men's national team, of course, I've been able to watch consistently, especially with Josh Atencio getting his first start. I thought that was interesting. He came in the 56 minutes. I thought he did well. We've been asking all the guys here about, how do they feel for him? They're all excited. Brian, Yamar, everybody just is more than happy to see him out there succeeding. So I think that the U.S. national team has a good chance against a very good Morocco team that's going to really put them in, is going to give them, they're going to give them a battle, and they're going to have to play very well. So it'll be interesting how that plays out.
Reason I ask is because we've been covering what's been going on with Canada pretty hard, and the cheating scandal that's going on up there, where Bev Priestman, she has now been given a year on the bench. Assistant's been given a year on the bench. FIFA came out with their 26-page analysis and evidence. The Court of Arbitration for Sport came back as Canada appealed the 6 points, the 6 point deduction leading into the women's side of the tournament. What did you think about what we've seen from Canada Soccer, where now apparently it wasn't just drones not once or twice, but 3 times? And you have Bev Priestman, the head coach, who is, trying to continue to navigate apparently a culture of cheating and spying that goes back to it has been linked to in documents back to John Herdman. And it seems to be a part of a culture up in Canada. And you wonder how much Canada Soccer knew or how much they chose to know in a situation like this. It's been a disappointing story to cover, but it's a story that we know we had to cover when it came to Canada Soccer.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's an unfortunate reality as well that we have some coaches that feel the need to do anything to this nature. I have a hard time putting into context how much advantage something like that provides you, and if it does, is it really worth it? And are you hindering the reality of the development, the success of your own program by doing it? So it's something that, again, I have a hard time just putting into mind what pushes you to do that. I mean, do you feel that insecure about your talent, about your coaching abilities, about your strategic ability, that you maybe not watching film is not enough, and you need to go and do all of these additional things that, again, make you look like a cheater, and as someone that is willing to do absolutely the worst to get a win, but then you put this awful mark on your country and your program and everything that all of these athletes and this effort of the individual players are trying to uprise the country. So I think it's been awful. I hope that if there is an example made out of them, and that they get hit with absolutely everything to keep this away from the sport, because it's unnecessary. It's absolutely unnecessary, and it's unacceptable. It should never be part of sports doing something like that. There's just no reason for it.
Well, and the John Herdman, who basically said, and this is a quote that's always going to stick with me, and I know I drive people crazy by always bringing this quote up when it comes to what John Herdman said. And Herdman literally said that, at no time during, and I love how he parsed it. I really love, and it was word salad of the highest order. It literally was word salad of the highest order, where he basically said that in my time as head coach at Olympic Games or World Cups, we've never been involved in any of those activities. He said that on Friday. So then when that came out, he had his press conference. That was the match day -1 getting ready for Red Bulls. He says that. People get mad. They go to one of the biggest bulldog investigative reporters in Canada, and then they're like, no, that's not what happened. And so literally 17 players were in a briefing in a Toronto ballroom as Herdman played the video of the Honduran closed practice. Someone went to this investigative reporter and said, no, there were 17 people in a room. Herdman walked us through that tape. Canada played Honduras in a qualifier. They drew. But Herdman wanted the players to watch the video that had been taken.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than somebody sitting there and saying one thing, and you know that the opposite happened, and last thing you want to do is get somebody mad that you didn't want to get mad. And I think that that's what's happening here, where John Herdman seems to be the point of all of this scandal that's going on in Canada soccer. He said what he said on Friday. And so then yesterday, he finally clammed up. He's like, I'm going to let the investigation take its course. I can't say anything further. He finally shut up, but it was too late.
Yeah. Don't put your foot in your mouth. And I mean, again, it all goes back to the initial root cause, and is your desire to win at all cost, and to lie to your players and give them unnecessary advantage over freaking Honduras. I mean, it's just beyond comprehension that you would do that with the talent that Canada has, with the golden generation that we've been talking about, that they've kind of put together. So it's just something that, for me, if that was my head coach, whether that's behind him or not, it would really make me consider a lot of things. I'm not saying they're going to get him out of Toronto, but you know what? I would not be surprised if that was to happen. I mean, it's just a bad rap sheet to have from someone sitting on your bench and having to morally speak to your players on a week-to-week basis and look at the camera knowing that you are just a liar, just in your face. I mean, you know, your pants are on fire every time you get on the mic. I mean, it's sad. It's something that I was not expecting. And when I heard it, I had to double check. I thought maybe it was like, you know, fake news. I don't know. And then I realized that it really did happen.
Canada Soccer provided emails to FIFA as a part of the investigation. The Federation also wrote, but like I said, the Federation wrote, but how if you're the Federation, and this is probably something of a rhetorical question, how if you as the Federation did not know that this was going on? I have no idea. The Federation also wrote in the FIFA document, and we posted the link in the Twitch pitch, that it believes the spying program began with Herdman, who coached the team from 11 to 18, the women's team, then the men's team from 18 to 23, now coaches at Toronto FC. Bev Priestman, the coach that was suspended, worked as a technical assistant and an assistant coach under Herdman from 13 to 18. I'm wondering, and like I said, I don't know how Toronto FC reacts to all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if they sit there and say, well, that was him with the national team, he's a different coach now. Or because he basically said what he said in the Friday press conference and then was called out in an investigative piece after the fact later that afternoon, and was, sources told investigative reporter, no, 17 players were in a room and Herdman was the one working us through this video. How does John Herdman stay employed? That is my larger question in all of this.
Yeah, I think they would have to play a blind eye. They'd have to really overlook it. And I think,
does Toronto FC basically sit there and say, well, that was him then, even though he said on Friday what he said?
Yeah.
What he said a week ago was that, you know, and he parsed it. Does Toronto FC sit there and take what he said on Friday, then was exposed for not being accurate in his statement? Do they parse that and sit there and say, well, he didn't say this, and keep him employed? How does Toronto FC work this forward, man?
I think that you're right. They would have to, in one way or another, just completely not care. I mean, we've been talking about Herdman's ability to at least get the Italians going, you know, and his relationship with Bernadeschi and Insigne, and Toronto's not doing great, but I think that they, at least as a core group, they've done something. So if management and ownership decides that that's more important than just ethics and, you know, just an outlook to your coach, then they literally would have to sit there and say, we're okay with this liar running our team. So they'd have to either be bluntly disregarding all of the reports, truthful or not. I mean, these are facts, right? And they could maybe sit there and try to draw a gray line in between it and just focus on the fact that this guy has done what maybe no one has been able to do with your more expensive players, or you plain just got him out and just say, we're not willing to take that risk. I don't care how good you've done with this team. We cannot have this be the face of our franchise. And I feel like that's the more reasonable decision. But when it comes to soccer, man, I don't know if it's going to be that clear cut. I do believe that there's some money that is also being spent on the coach, and that's not going to go away. This is not a reason that he's just going to break a contract. So, knowing Toronto and the struggles that they've had over the last 5 years, I could see where they might turn a blind eye and decide that whether this is a PR nightmare, they're going to hold on to it. So I would not be surprised if they would keep him, but I think that the obvious decision here is kicking him to the curb.
All right. So what's going on with the Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar? I know you got a quick turn coming up.
Yes, we're coming up here in 55 minutes. We're going to be talking about all of things to come. We're really going to go in depth into the big Mexican teams that have gone down, the reasons behind it, the resurrection of Austin FC and what they've been able to do all this time around. San Jose looking better. It looks like Hernan Lopez and Espinosa are finally finding their own little bubbles, their own little spots on the field. Bobasi getting some very needed confidence, getting some goals. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to hear from Yemer Gomez Andrade, who, to my account, has already played 156 games for the Sounders. That's a big mark for the big center back. So we're going to talk to him. He's going to be on. So check that out. Then the interview would also be up on Pulso Sports, all in Spanish, though, but it's going to be there. Hear from Yemer. And then we're also, of course, going to have everything that we have gathered up across the week. I'll give more updates on Raul Ruiz, and it should be a good one at Soccer Bar and at Pulso Sports.
What he said. As always, my friend, it's great to see you here on Thursdays where you get to take us through what's on your mind out there out west. Enjoy your second cup of coffee. We'll catch up with you next week, my friend. As always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you, boss. We'll see you next week.
That is Nico Moreno, and he's going to go finish his second cup of coffee and get ready for stuff coming up top of the hour. And don't forget to follow Nico and Nino at El Rolo and W on the Twitters, at Sports Pulso, and at the Soccer Bar on the 280 character app. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here, plus what to watch, where to watch it, and all that kind of stuff. So gossip on the table, and it's a little bit all over the place. Liverpool and Joe Gomez remain open to leaving this summer. Joe Gomez remains open to leaving this summer after move to Newcastle fell through last month, 4-letter paper. Marseille would be willing to pay around £17 million for Eddie Nketiah. Talks expected to continue between the clubs over the coming days. Crystal Palace open to letting Jordan Ayew leave at the right price. Leicester keen to sign. Everton interested in Ramon Sosa, but face competition from Forest in their bid to sign him from Talleres. Tammy Abraham wanted by AC Milan. That's from Nicola Shearer. Leicester's attempt to sign Reece Nelson from Arsenal is not currently progressing, player being out of the Fox's price bracket. Leeds have made a £2.5 million offer for Fenerbahce winger Ryan Kent. Jose Mourinho said to be keen to move him on. PSG have agreed to sign Benfica João Neves for €60 million plus €10 million in add-ons, with Portuguese midfielder Renato Sanchez moving the other way on loan. Forest set to sign Jota Silva from Vitória Guimarães for €7 million in a deal that includes up to $5 million in add-ons. Wolves and Fulham entered the race to sign defender Isaac Toure from Lorient. Fulham have agreed to sign 24-year-old Spanish center back Jorge Cuenca from Villarreal. Fulham haven't ruled out sending English striker Jay Stansfield on loan again this season. He scored 13 goals at Birmingham City last year. Coventry City have, according to the BBC, muscled in on Hull City's £2.5 million deal to sign Ghanaian forward Brandon Thomas Asante from West Brom. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Morning Sharif, by the way. Oh, and did you see this? With a new league. We'll get into that coming up in just a second. Soccer on the TVs today as we start the month of August. Man, I swear the season just started the other day. CBS Sports Network has the Summer Cup. Kansas City Current and Tigres at 8. Angel City San Diego Wave at 10. Leagues Cup Toluca in Chicago is on FS1 at 9 o'clock. All the other matches, they're on Season Pass and Apple TV. FC Cincinnati Querétaro at 8. RSL and Atlas at 9. Toluca Chicago at 9. Portland and Colorado's at 10:30. Unimas simulcasting Leagues Cup. Golazo Network has the Summer Cup tonight. Orlando and Racing Louisville at 7. Summer Cup on Paramount Plus, all 4 matches. Orlando, Louisville at 7. Houston, Pachuca at 8. Kansas City, Tigres at 8. Angel City and San Diego at 10. That's your rundown of what to watch and where to watch it. Did you see this yesterday? 5 current or former members of the NPSL are launching a new summer league. It's called the League for Clubs. Stockade, Tulsa Athletic, Napa Valley 1839, FC Davis, and Atlantic City FC. Plans are calling for the league to affiliate with the USASA, play from early May to early August. We'll keep an eye on that. So a new league with Stockade and Tulsa Athletic as a part of the whole thing. So once again, keep an eye on that as we go. Once again, obviously, we're going to be keeping an eye on everything with what's going on in Canada. Let me see what's going on there. A quick reminder, Tony Gustafsson has departed the Matildas as head coach. So because of things not going the Matildas' way, Sam Coffey is suspended for Saturday's quarterfinal against Japan, but the U.S. can only dress 17, according to Dan Laletta. Alternates cannot be called up due to disciplinary absences. And also, if you are on the 280-character app, Benja Kremoski, Caleb Wiley, and Gaga Slanina joined the Today Show to talk about the team's performance advancing to the knockouts for the first time in more than 2 decades. So go to @TodayShow. You get to see Caleb Wiley. We'll see if we can pull some sound from that and run that tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow on the board, it is Bart Keeler joining us at 9 o'clock. He's going to bat leadoff, and so literally Bart will be batting leadoff while action is going on involving the national team. 9:30, our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. I think it's Michael Parkhurst's turn. We can continue talking to Cap about what's going on with Rhode Island FC. Then 10 and 10:20, we get to catch up with the 2 finalists for the NPSL Championship that are not jumping to the League of Clubs, as far as we know. FC Motown at 10, El Farolito at 10:20. So the 2 finalists for the NPSL Championship game, that gets us up until about 10:40 or so. We'll get you ready for the weekend, see if Jason can drop by, and we'll get ready for all of the activity that's going on. Remember, Atlanta United 2, New England Revolution 2, late start, 8:30 kick in Kennesaw on Saturday night. And that'll be on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Post-game show on the SDH network. So the match itself on 92.9 The Game, Revs 2 and Atlanta United 2. Post-game show on the SDH network. Then Sunday, Atlanta United, Santos Laguna. Atlanta United knows what they need to do. They need a draw or better to advance. That's where they are right now in the Leagues Cup standings. Once again, after what happened last night with the matches. In East 1, NYC and Querétaro, only match to have been played. Cincinnati still has to play 2 matches. East 2, Montreal in the barn with 3 points. Orlando and Atlético San Luis still need to play. Right now, Atlético San Luis has a better goal difference than Montreal. So if they were to win and send everything into chaos, Montreal might end up going home. East 3, Puebla eliminated. Miami and Tigres will advance. Miami and Tigres play each other in the last match in East 3. East 4, Charlotte's in the barn with 2 points. Philadelphia and Cruz Azul need to play the last match in the East to determine, in East 4, to determine who goes and who goes home. East 5, Mazatlan, after their win last time out against Nashville, they're in the barn with 3 points. New England and Nashville play the last match in that group. Red Bulls have been eliminated out of East 6. Pachuca and Toronto play to determine who's 1 and who's 2. East 7, DC has 5 points in their first 2 matches. The penalty kick shootout win plus a win. They're in the barn at 5 points. All Atlanta needs is 1 point more than Santos Laguna in the match this weekend on a Sunday afternoon, East 7. West 1, Austin is in 2 wins, first 2 matches. Pumas and Monterrey play an elimination game for the last match in that group. West 2, San Jose's in with 2 points. LAG and Chivas play to determine who is in and who goes home. West, Juarez and all caps played, and they played Dallas. Dallas eliminated. Dallas lost both of those matches. Juarez and St. Louis will play to determine who's the 1 and who's the 2. West 4. Toluca has yet to play. Kansas City and Chicago have played. Kansas City won that one. They right now lead the group with 3 points. West 5. Colorado has not played a match yet. Portland beat Leon. Portland's right now in the lead with 3 points. West 6. Minnesota in the barn with 3 points. Seattle and Necaxa play to determine who's in and who goes home. West 7. LAFC in the barn with 4 points. Vancouver and Xolos play to determine who goes in, who goes home. Vancouver's in the driver's seat. They need basically a point to send Tijuana home. West 8. Atlas beat Houston, as Nico was discussing when he was on with us. RSL has yet to play. So that's where we are in Leagues Cup, getting ready for a very, very busy weekend. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on in Canada, keep an eye on what's going on with the national teams, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on with every single thing at the pulse of the sport. Thanks to our friends at FC Naples for dropping by this morning and letting us know what's going on there in USL League One as they grow, getting ready for next year. Thanks, as always, to our buddy Nino Torres. Thanks, as always, to our buddy Nico Moreno. Thanks, as always, to you for coming in. Abby, with a public service announcement before we get out of here. Only team jerseys are allowed in the supporters section at games on Sunday. Atlanta United, no other team jerseys allowed in the supporters section. So if you're going to be in the supporters section on the weekend on Sunday afternoon, wear your 5 stripes gear. That's it. Nothing else is going to happen. So that's where we are. As always, thanks to all of you guys for coming by. Thanks for putting up with what's left of my voice. It's gradually coming back. But yeah, when I have to break that out, then you know it's a rough time with the voice. So as always, thanks for dropping by and thanks for putting up with us. Great guest as always on a Thursday. Tomorrow, Bart, Beyond Goals, FC Motown, El Farolito, and maybe Jason as we get you ready for the weekend here on Soccer's Morning Show on the SDH Network. So for everybody here, thanks for dropping by. I'll be back in a little less than 22, and we'll take care of business once again on a Friday. Since we're done, I get to whistle us home.